All right. Hello, hello.
Ay,
We're
nandiyan na pala
live.
kayo. Like,
Hey, Matt.
hello.
Hello, Matt
Hey,
Lee.
Paui, Tristan.
How's it going? Okay. So, again, we are live. So, hello, everyone, wherever you're watching from. We have an exciting interview ahead here with Matt Lee of Cereaal Photography
Not the
Studio.
podcast,
Not
serial
the.
photography.
Oh, is that. Do you have a pod? Well, actually, on,
I did not.
on, on that note,
It's a joke, serial
however.
podcast. Anyway,
Oh, Cereaal. Okay.
Oh, I love that
Anyway.
podcast. It is my favorite.
Okay, so before we
right.
deter even further, how can so how can people follow you, Matt and Serial? Yeah, check out your stuff.
Yeah, so I do have two separate pages. So for my personal one, I'm just an Instagram guy. Being a millennial, I don't really spread myself out through different social media, but you can find me on Instagram. Where is Matt Lee? And Serial Studio is as it is Serial Studio with two A's.
Awesome.
So where is Matt Lee? That's
Well,
the first question.
Lockdown in my lockdown in my house for the past 2 years.
nice,
Sadly, yeah.
nice. I'm just posting. I'm posting. Speaking of socials, so I'm gonna share on my Instagram. You can follow me at
Sige.
Powie Fiction. What about you,
I'ma do the
Tristan?
same.
Already followed.
I'm at Tristan Zinampan. So just Tristan
Okay.
Zinampan. I don't add
So,
anything. I'm
okay.
bereft
Okay.
of creativity.
So we'll see. We'll see how many extra followers we each get. This is can our graphics team put up like a scoreboard? Let's see how many more each of us get throughout.
Oh, can they do
We've
that?
been
That's
doing
pretty
this for
fun.
we've been doing this for
sorry,
like
sorry.
2 years and I haven't gotten like any.
Yeah. No, I'm painting expectations here. No, but anyway, we promise at least an authentic show for you tonight. So welcome everyone. This is Hustle Inside the Industry, where we talk to professionals and find out how they got here, why they're doing what they do, and what it takes to do it. We're live right now here on all Rappler channels, including Kumu and LinkedIn Live. Check out LinkedIn Live if you haven't. If you're streaming us on Kumu, please join in the conversation. You can send over some questions or some diamonds if you like what you hear.
And if you're not yet in Kumu, you can download the app. That's KUMU Kumu. And make sure to follow Rappler.com. So we spell out the .com. So it's Rappler, DOTCOM.
And if you like this interview and you want to play it back in podcast form, just follow Hustle Inside the Industry on Spotify or any preferred podcast platform. This episode comes out next Monday, November 1st. Oh my gosh,
All
Tristan.
Souls, All Souls
It's
Day.
November.
It's
Tama,
wow.
diba? All
It's
Souls ba?
November.
Wow.
Or All
Oh, yeah.
Saints? All Souls on November ba?
We might have to fact check that one, Tristan. Anyway, as always, this is Powie.
And this is Tristan. We are part of Rapper's Hustle team.
Nice. And Tristan, last week we had recess. Now it's Cereal. So I feel like we're on a vibe right now, like a 90s, but also very comfort, cozy vibe. What do you think?
Yeah. Pansin ko nga, it's like we are going for the chill nights these past months. These past weeks, I mean. So we also had indulgent eats the
Oh, that's
week
true.
before last week, right? Diba? So we're doing
Yeah,
food,
Instagram, food.
comfort. So it's really a chill night here inside the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, we get bring out your lo-fi vibes. But anyway,
Yeah, we're gonna get
no,
the
but
lo-fi kid next week.
yeah, shout out to our teammate Julian, the the OG lo-fi kid. Anyway, but it's funny that you mentioned indulgent eats because that is probably the most similar to this current episode we have now. Today we're going to be exploring brand photography and the overall business of creativity with Cereal, a photography studio that works with brands like Jollibee and Magnum, but also smaller businesses that especially need the extra promotion during this pandemic. So, to talk more about his profession and ultimately his passion, we have photographer and serial founder Matt Lee. Welcome, Matt.
Hey
Hey
again,
Matt,
guys. Hey, Paui, Tristan.
just
How are you guys doing? Good naman. A hectic day, but I took the last hour to just meditate and be mindful. Millennial
Ooh,
things, in preparation for this talk. So I'm really like fully present in here with you guys. It's gonna
so
be
you're all
fun.
chilling in a way, chilling but
why,
like getting into the proper zone.
why don't we
Yeah.
meditate before this, Tristan?
Kasi we're
Just
in
kidding.
calls the whole day. Anyway, so
Yeah.
Matt, So just to start things off, we want to learn more about Cereal. So maybe you can give us like the overall mission statement, like why do you do what you do? And I think the elephant in the room is why the extra A. Is this like a typo na you stuck along with na lang, parang reply
And he
1988?
The
Kasi,
DPI,
submitted to the
yeah,
SEC
with the
DPI.
wrong,
yeah.
What an original question, Tristan. Thanks for asking that.
Love it.
I always say that I have like a philosophical answer, the one that impresses people, and then I have the fun, useless BS answer.
Good both.
But essentially, the cereal was something that I kind of like stumbled onto
Sa
from where
keyboard.
I really stumbled onto literally because I'm quite a clumsy person. But it was something I never planned on planned on doing. So kind of thought about it off the top of my head lang. But I wanted it to be something that was very familiar, something that people already knew, but at the same time, provide a little twist to it, right? Something to exactly break the ice, have a conversation about. So it speaks a lot about our work as well. We're still doing something that's very commercial. It's very relatable to brands, but we always want to inject that little something special that makes people talk about it. So that's a philosophical answer na ano.
What's the other
More of
one?
like an
What's the other
afterthought.
one? You said you had two answers.
What's the real answer?
Yeah.
The real answer was that I was inspired by another studio in Jakarta
Oh.
who does like this weird like type of photography as well, but for brands. So they're called The Table with two A's as well. So I think just lifted that off. Yeah, took
There's
inspiration.
a movement going on with two O's. Now I'm gonna address
Actually,
the other.
Matt, I'm gonna
Go.
suggest lang. You can say it's an A plus kasi that's the service that you provide, diba?
We add
Thank
A plus service.
Thanks for that, Tristan. We really needed that. Now, I'm going to address the other elephant in the room. So, as you can tell, everyone, we're going off script. It's going to be a fun night. Other elephant question, not even icebreaker question. Matt and then Tristan, what's your favorite cereal? Go, Matt.
Napaisip ako dun Hardest
Okay,
question.
like, I'm
anyway,
thinking.
go Matt. You first.
Matt, what's your favorite cereal?
I'm gonna be a rebel and actually say that I'm not a fan of cereal.
What? Okay. Guys, interview over.
Ginamit
Yeah.
mo lang yung cereal.
It's all fake.
all-
Yeah, it's all a ruse. I'm a silog kind of person. I super
Oh,
love
wow.
the Filipino breakfast kind of thing. But I guess like cereal represents just breakfast in general. I like it because it's the one meal where you can mix your sweets and your savories. You're taking a bite of cereal and then you're taking a bite of like dilis or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's a fun meal that you can really play around with.
Okay. Next question.
Oh.
All right.
So for me naman, am I gonna answer?
No, okay, fine. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Sige. Kasi I had to think about it, and then like it reminds me na I have this affinity for like dipping cookies in milk. So like the cereals I like are Oreo O's and Cookie Crisps. Parang ngayon ko lang siya na kabit na.
Cookie
Okay, when I was a
Crisps.
kid, I
Oh my gosh.
like these
Yeah.
two cereals.
Sponsored by unsponsored.
Yeah. Thanks to our
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, cereal brands out there. Yeah, we accept we have ad placements. Okay. Anyway, just a reminder for everyone, you can ask silly questions like those or serious ones. You can just type them in the comments. If you have any for Matt, especially about photography or creative work in general, send
Or
them our
cereal.
way. Or cereal. On
Bakit di mo gusto ang
Kumu,
cereal?
on Kumu, you also can do other things like not only send us hearts, but you can also send us diamonds. We'd super appreciate that. Anyway, VGs, let's get started. Matt, I'm sure you have a very personal story behind all this. So why don't you tell our audience how you personally got started as a photographer and how it eventually led to setting up your own studio?
Wow, we're gonna go into the hard-hitting questions, Gagan. Man, okay. I hope I don't cry. No, just kidding. No,
It's
but
okay.
it's funny.
We're
It's
here
so
to
funny
support
because
you.
I just clearly remember my first exposure to like the DSLRs, the big heavy cameras back in high school, and I was almost like judging the people who were bringing it to school. Parang they were showing it off. I was like, oh, it's kind of nerdy. It's a kind of nerdy thing to do. The irony of it all. But I really fell in love with photography. It so started my cousin's wedding. Her wedding photographer was a veteran, my idol, Nelwyn Uy. And back then
Mm.
there weren't these like same day edit slideshows. That wasn't a big thing yet.
Yeah.
So we had a good time at the wedding in Tagaytay, and then it wasn't until a month after that the photos were featured in a blog um, online when I actually saw the photos, and I was just so shocked that like that was the same event that I went to, because there were these moments and there were these stories and emotions that would come out from these photos, moments that I did not catch at all, right, being fully present. And so uh, that's when I really said that photography was something that I wanted to pick up as a hobby. Uh, no plans of making it as a career at that point. But yeah, that's when I started to like explore like the technical side of things, like tinkering with the camera, all those things.
And
So parang siyang
how did
ano,
yeah.
awakening. It's like an awakening na,
Yeah. So that's,
this is
if
my
that's the
thing.
eureka moment, why don't you tell us what action that led to, or maybe what is the kind of like, what is your first like professional milestone in photography then?
Yeah, kasi I'm guessing it's like, okay, the moment where you find photography interesting, that's like one thing. And then when you actually tell yourself na, okay, I'm not just gonna admire it, I'm gonna actually do it.
Hmm. Mhm.
Right. Doing it, you mean like as a, I don't know, like as a profession,
A hobby, a profession, yeah. We can talk about
or
that.
a hobby? Yeah. It really was just a lot of tinkering with it. I would really when you first get like one of those cameras that can do like the background blur and everything. You just take pictures of everything from like your forks at home to like the little pebbles and stuff.
Yeah.
It was really just like playing around, but I was quite a shy guy back in college. I mostly kept to myself. Didn't have a lot to contribute, like conversations and stuff, because pretty simple, pretty simple guy. Um, but yeah, with photography, I started to approach because of the want to do photography. I started to approach different organizations and kind of show them my work, and they would ask me to do things like their promos or like this photo shoot for this and that. Um, and so it really exposed me to so many different kinds of people and so many different conversations and experiences. Um, and I didn't even realize it as it was going on, pero it was really building me and my identity
Yeah,
as the years went by.
for sure.
So slowly I was coming out of my shell, and um, yeah, I was really, really enjoying it, because I started to feel a bit more confident about myself, getting to know a lot of new people, and when you have a camera, everyone wants to be your friend, right?
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
great. I really owe a lot of my, I guess I really owe a lot of myself and who I am today to photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Tristan,
Matt,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
gonna
I'm gonna
go
date us
go ahead.
right now, but I'm just, when he said everyone wants to be your friend, I was thinking about like Fiamma days, or even
That's
older
always
clubs
my
that I'm not
example,
even,
Fiamma.
older clubs that I'm not gonna mention. But anyway,
Lumalabas edad natin,
Yeah,
pare.
the
Let's
generations
keep
start
it.
to show
Yeah, we have to
now.
cut. Yeah, we have to
did I
cut
say
that
Fiamma?
off
I
the
meant
The
Fiamma.
younger
podcast.
people might not even know what Fiamma is anymore.
Yikes.
Piyama? I only know that. So anyway, so let's go into like the actual business side of things, Matt. So you mentioned okay, from this origin story, we call it an origin
Hmm.
story, where you realize that I was in the same wedding, and then
Yeah.
they made something beautiful out of it. When you started freelance photography, how did that happen? You said you were presenting, you were showing to clients,
Mhm.
but then like what do basically freelance photographers need to know about the business side of things? And then like maybe you can walk us through that journey basically of you
Yeah.
actually realizing that this is a lucrative business.
Yeah. I would say that I took a very unconventional path. more and more I found out about it, like just recently when the the photography community came together during the pandemic, to form like uh, kind of like talk about the industry and stuff. We call it a group called Tethered, and people would share about their path. They took fine arts, or they took photography in college, and then they did like the advertorial route, going for publications and stuff. I had none of that. I had no idea how even to get started. So you could really say that I stumbled into it. It wasn't also that like I had a 5-year plan, and by 5 years I would have my own studio, things like that. Um, I guess like there really wasn't much resistance to things. How did it start? Um, it was really just a lot of like word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I would just post, and not even posting to market anything. I wouldn't tell people I was doing this service or that, just to share what I had to do. And I clearly remember I was working at my dad's company at that time, as people do when they're in between things. And of course, as a millennial, you're doing the marketing, spending all of your all of the business's
You're the
money,
expert, social
right,
media
expert in
expert.
spending.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would always get like, I remember it clearly, once a week, every weekend I would have a job without even really promoting myself. So
Wow. Nice.
the momentum really was there, and I just had that fortune. People were looking for this, and I was their choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing what you mean by that also, Matt, is referrals, right? Like past clients, then recommending you. I assume to like more clients, and then eventually until you mass. Is that correct?
Right, exactly. And also just what do you call this? Just word of mouth. That's right. Uh,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's not even that obvious. You don't know actually how many people are talking about you, referring you.
it's
You just get
true.
surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when
So
you have
back,
your work out there, no, right? Right, Tristan.
yeah.
Mm,
If your stuff is posted, yeah. Sometimes I forget that like randomly I got like an email for like a gig or something for an email that I don't use anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I forget that stuff's still out there.
Mga pawi, cutie, mga pang ano ka, grade
No,
school
no,
email mo.
the Sims are dance
right.
crew. Anyway,
So, so that pero like just a short follow up. So when you say stumbled upon things, even the legal side, the business side, you had to learn it on your own, no? Like the receipts, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course, when you started, like you didn't think about professionalizing anything,
Mm.
right? It was such a actually that was the most difficult uh, part for me, was to get out of the mindset of being a freelancer. I feel like when you're a freelancer,
yeah.
you're just thinking exactly about like, okay, how much did I make from this, right? And all of that kind of becomes your earnings, right? It goes into your pocket. And then after the job, also you don't think about things like building a relationship with your clients, and improving on your
Mm,
craft and stuff like that. So it was a very rocky, or a very what do you call this? Uh,
it was like a crash course, and then
yeah,
you like
right. It
learned
wasn't
along the
s- it
way.
wasn't smooth for sure,
Yeah,
right? Things like, for example, collecting payments, right? All of these things.
right. Or
I
even
had to
invoicing
learn
people, just the
on
invoicing
the
itself.
fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yung challenge sa freelancer eh, like collecting. Kasi,
it's huge, man.
yeah.
I also didn't have
Absolutely.
anyone to ask advice from, because yeah, my community was like, I took up chemistry. That was my first course, so nobody knew anything about business or photography. So
Mhm.
yeah, I
Wow.
had nobody to ask, and I was too ashamed to ask as well, because I was a professional, right? I should, in my mind, like I should know these things. Why am I asking? It makes me
Right,
look very like unprofessional, which isn't
right.
the case, right?
Or and also maybe you were also insecure because, like you said earlier, you used to judge people with DSLRs, and now you're like, oh, I have a DSLR, I have a
I'm one
question.
of them.
I'm one of them. No, but anyway, you said the magic buzzword, which was freelancer, which was how you and how many of us really start. a career, and maybe at this point, a lot of people have resorted to that. But we want to talk now about your studio, Cereaal. Uh, how exactly did you, and how does someone like you graduate from being this uh, just like your DBA, you're doing, but you're sole proprietor, but it's just your name, like Matt Lee, to becoming a business owner, and yeah, and also tell
Parang
us,
si
so
firefighting.
uh
Like,
and uh and tell us what's behind the what's behind Cereal, like you did set up this business, but what is the business? Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like you said, light bulb moments, right? And that could be different for each person, but it really is a self journey. You could attend all of these like TED talks and YouTube, workshops and everything, and people could tell you that, right? Like, what are the advantages of professionalizing? But then differs per person. Like for me, it was just realizing that uh, this is not sustainable for somebody who's gonna end up building a life for themselves. Uh, Especially here in the Philippines, my one of my mentors, Miss Harvey Chua, uh, she calls it Parents Incorporated. So
Mm.
your camera might be sponsored, your studio
Yeah.
might be sponsored, and so
Yep.
it's a very unrealistic way of running your business, because uh, you don't cost properly, right? And the people who benefit from that actually isn't you getting to save up on expenses, but actually is the clients, right? And they get used to, I guess, paying below what is standard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I realized that that's not gonna fly for long. I probably, while my parents are still supporting me, but if I love what I'm doing, and I want to keep doing it well into the future, uh, and things have got to change. And for you to even get bigger projects or bigger brands, then it's really about professionalizing and showing people the value that you can give to them.
yeah, and now, like we mentioned kanina, that you have already big brands under your studio, diba? So,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
can you
Was
share
was
that
that a
one?
question?
Was I
Was I
was
supposed to
gonna
respond to that?
I was trying to sana pry, like, can you share your clients, but
uh, well, okay.
so I
Well,
was like,
till today, I feel like my pride and joy really was when it's not because of like it was my biggest project or anything. Well, I guess it is quite big as well. But we were doing like blind bidding. That means that you don't get to see who the photographer is. You don't get to see how many people you're up against. Uh, to shoot the production photos of Lion King here in the Philippines.
Wow.
And
Yeah, I love it.
yeah, you remember when they came a couple of years ago. And so apparently the whole process was that they would the people who would select would be from Disney New York. Um, and I was already kind of like letting go of it because I hadn't heard back from them in months. Like I had sent my
Mm-hmm.
portfolio, like radio silence, right? um, then the agency just comes to me and says, Matt, you got the job, just plainly like that.
Woo!
Very like non eventful, but at the same time, like that experience of getting to meet the guy who composed Circle of Life. uh, uh,
What? What's
yeah,
his
Rafiki?
name? What's his name?
Rafiki.
Not
Rafiki.
sorry, not to
It-
put you on the spot, but do you remember his name? That guy's a legend. I don't even
Yeah,
know his
yeah,
name.
Lebo M. um It
Okay.
was cool. In the after party, they were just like riffing off each other, kind of like what you see in movies where people just burst
Yeah.
into song. That's
Oh no,
exactly what
people.
Kasama.
happens. Yeah,
Uh, New York is like that. People.
yeah. I've got to
That's
move
just
to
New
New
York,
York.
bro. Yeah.
So Matt, so you opened in 2016, and now of course we have a pandemic, and I'm sure like a lot of businesses, like, they had to pivot, they had to change their services as well as
Yeah.
their own work. So I want to go into your pandemic story. We talked about already like how you were doing before this, how you transitioned from freelancing to having your own studio and doing work with clients. But like how did you pivot yourself amidst the pandemic? So did you change your services? What different things did you do amidst this 2 years of pandemic?
Uh, I think I would describe my pandemic experience as a stumble through as well. My whole
Yeah,
life's just a big
yeah.
stumble through, because the unprecedented times, you don't really know what works and what doesn't, right? To be very honest, this when the pandemic started, we tried a lot of things that uh, may maybe in retrospect were out of fear and desperation, right? You're so afraid that nobody is booking, and you're kind of idle, while you're still expenses are still going out every month. So we tried some techniques or some promotions. Uh,
Okay.
I remember one of the things that we did was like we charge as low as 5,000 pesos, and we would even discount it pa to 4,000 pesos, just to get things going, and that was at the peak of the first ECQ, right?
And what kind of shoots were these? Now just to paint a clearer picture,
Yeah,
like what kind of clients and what kind of shoots
I think
for that
they
amount?
became a little bit common. But we coined them as shoot from home, and then later on we also saw other
Mm.
people saying, "Bro, shoot from home." Ganun. So people
Mm-hmm.
would send their products, not really much to go on, whatever equipment we had on hand, whatever props we had, and then it would just be like a short, quick shoot. People weren't spending pa back then because everything was unsure. So syempre we would also reduce the output naman, right, to justify the lower cost. Um, but yeah, those turned out to be like the most difficult, the most demanding also of clients. So I would say that it even hurt the
Mm.
value or the perception of the studio. So it wasn't all
This
that
was
great.
this was alongside your initiative, your syrup initiative, or like was it like part of it? Rin?
Um,
Yeah, let's
Cyril,
talk about that a bit.
right. So this is the first thing that we did, doing the shoot from home things, just trying to, get work out because nothing was happening at that point. Um, and then we noticed that a lot of studios were offering their services completely free, to help out these starting businesses. Uh, Again, I guess the intentions are very really really good, right? And we wanted to support each other at that time as well. But at the same time, it was setting up for long, like, I guess, like long term. It would hurt the industry long term because then people got used to, free shoots and stuff. Uh, so uh, we wanted to still give back, but we didn't want to just raffle it off or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So we thought about making a grant, right, or an application process,
Mm.
and we wanted to make sure that we looked for people who would talk about, first of all, are had they been around for a while, right? Because some people did make businesses just to get through the pandemic. We wanted to look at somebody who was looking more long term, right? And did they have any plans for like the next 2 to 3 years? Secondly, we assessed, is photography really the problem of these businesses? Like, if we improve their photos,
Mm,
right, but the product
Mm, good
really
good
point.
isn't
point.
sellable, right? Then are we taking away the opportunity from somebody else to benefit from it? So it was like a whole panel thing. We had 61 applications and like 3 rounds
Wow,
of discussions.
that's
We ended up
wow.
with yeah, and then we ended up with two small businesses, very different from each other,
Yeah,
who we ended up giving the grant to.
yeah. Well, specifically, one of them is like basically like been on the institution, right? And the other one is a student run business, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the first one is like historical. Been around for 140 plus years. Way back into the
140. Oh my god. Wow.
Spanish era.
Eh, wala pang
Um,
IG nun.
Wala pang
Yeah,
IG
yeah,
nun.
Wala
Yeah,
wala
they were
wala pang
marketing
IG.
These
through
you had to paint
Sketch
your
it.
yeah
advertising on the kabayo of
back
the
in the
Calesas, mga ganun.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was so
The
admirable to see them still alive today, but
that's
also
amazing. Wow.
reinventing themselves. So parang it was really about preserving that heritage. And also parang it's very interesting because their influence is from like Spanish, Filipino,
Yeah.
and Chinese cultures. So parang the way that we built a set for them that made it look like an old Binondo house. And
What?
then
That wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of value.
we wanted
That
it to be
brand
very
is legit.
nostalgic to our childhood
Yeah.
where parang we would be playing around while our amas uncles were playing mahjong.
Yeah.
Um, and so parang we built out this entire set. We looked for things that were from the original restaurant, like their old menu. And then we recreated that story, but at the same time, parang made sure that the imagery was still very engaging and very contemporary
Mhm.
to bring
Mhm.
it to bring
This
it
was
to
the same
the
set as the Mandalorian, di ba? Like you shared. This was the same set
yeah,
as the
yeah.
Mandalorian.
We don't
Laki ng budget
guys
namin.
Stagecraft.
guys, this is Rappler. We
Stagecraft.
don't spread this information.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Our
sorry. I was just
our
trying to
producer will
yes and
be
everything that Tristan was saying.
just got a
Tristan, you're
message
setting
from
me
our
up
producer.
for
We have
setting
a
me up for
meeting
failure
later.
here.
We have a debrief later. Anyway, I'm going to take this opportunity to to spread facts, which are yes, it's true. You can send us diamonds if you like what you hear on Kumu, but also you can send us questions if you have any for Matt about photography or the creative businesses. I do want to give a shout out to Ivy who sent us some
June
halo halo
Pedida.
via Ivy Bedida. Hello, hey Ivy. Thanks for that. So yeah, keep it coming. Anyway, I'm gonna keep the questions going. So far, in the specific examples that we've laid out, it's been predominantly food and beverage, of course, restaurants, and we know that that's a big part of your portfolio there at
Mhm.
Cereal. But I did want to talk about the other industries that are not necessarily reliant, but are otherwise heavy photography clients, such as travel. Also, I know you personally, Matt, started with weddings, right?
Right.
And we know that all of these are some of the first ones you hear. When the pandemic hit, those were the ones that basically went like right. So basically, not just from personal experience, Matt. Why don't you tell us, because you said you're part of the photography community, how are you seeing Philippine photography as a whole pivot to cater, especially to these industries? What are the creative solutions they're doing?
You got to think about that for a while.
Sure, sure. Or basically, what other creative things have you been seeing, even outside of your personal work or serial? What are some of the other Filipino photographers doing with their clients that are quite innovative, perhaps?
Mm, when you think of innovation, I think the first thing that comes into mind, right, when you think about imagery, would be things like 3D or maybe like virtual reality, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's not the kind of innovation that is very valuable to us. A lot of people may not. It may not be face value to a lot of people, but photography in itself, like you said. Uh, uh, is so valuable that basically it can build uh, your perception or your image, right? It could be of a brand, of a person, of a place you've never been to, right? So it's so powerful. And I think that during the pandemic, uh, we I'm not saying with everyone, but I think that there were some people tend to be opportunistic to kind of
Mhm.
lowball and say that, well, it's easy for you to do photography because it's just a camera that you've already spent on, right? There's no like real expense. So like this is the price that we're willing to pay. Uh, so I think that it's been a lot of like re-education and like showing people, hey, this is a big investment for you guys. It could really bolster you up, add so much value to your brand and the stories that you're telling, and you should see it as that an investment, right? And but there are returns to be had if you go with a really good photographer. So I think a lot of those kinds of conversations are what's been happening during the pandemic among clients and photographers.
Right.
Yeah, I want to expand on that since you mentioned there's also a change in dynamics basically when it comes to clients, brands, and photographers. So I'm sure that you said some are taking this opportunity to lowball photographers, but maybe you can paint us a picture of like how the client relationship changed amidst a pandemic. So like, do you see people valuing your work more? Do you see people like also you said nga lowballing. So maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
expound on that dynamic shift.
Right. Uh yeah, in all honesty, we've had, both ends of the spectrum. Uh and I guess same thing with what we've experienced in our personal lives. Maybe you guys can relate to, right? That the pandemic has really made us reassess which relationships are the ones that are valuable to us as well, right? And those are the ones who see your vision, know your value, appreciate you, and I guess pay you also what you're worth, right? And those are also the kinds of clients who you have a good working relationship with. The output is like your favorite output. Um, then we realized that it's not about the quantity of different clients that you're engaging with, but it's really maintaining the quality of relationships with those
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
value you. Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and
Yeah, kasi parang ano
I'm
eh.
sure. Oh, go.
Go Pawi.
No, I'm just saying. I'm sure that when the pandemic hit, that's when those pre-pandemic relationships were really put to the test. No, I mean that's what I imagine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would assume rin na like okay, maybe we've had like clients before who were okay, we work with them well, but at the same time they don't see yet the need pa for these services. But like after the pandemic,
Yeah,
okay, online presence is a must. It's part of our digital transformation. So
yeah,
Yeah. More than the online presence, it's just parang being sincerely, sincerely interested in keeping a connection with them. So without any agenda whatsoever, so from time to time, I would check up on some clients, even just simple as like reply to their stories and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not thinking about projects in return as well.
No, but that is it's funny you mentioned that. I think all of us find ourselves doing that these days, like on a personal, social level, just like checking up people, especially during these times. I think we've all gotten a little more uh, empathetic
yeah.
in that regard. So
Hopefully.
it's just funny, right? Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
I guess
And
can't
ayuda
speak
became a
for
love
myself.
language. Diba?
Yeah, ayuda. But anyway, I'm gonna take this moment to remind everyone that you can share your love with us via some diamonds on
Ayuda.
Kumu. Yeah,
Via
there
ayuda.
you go. That is
We also accept.
but we also accept questions. No, but seriously, we want to hear from you how you're responding to this, and maybe if you do want to learn more, I am gonna dig even deeper into that sentiment, Matt. We recently had a roundtable discussion with people from the DTI, talking about just like the changing landscape these days, especially with small businesses. And one thing that I found very encouraging was that it was mentioned looking ahead to the future that a rapidly growing sector right now is the creative sector, right? Which you, in this episode in our convo, represent. But notably, it's not only is it growing, but it's becoming more encouraged, especially with the youth.
Right.
And I think that that might hit a little close to home for you, Matt, because right, you kind of you had to take the plunge. Nowadays, it's almost encouraged. It's like, hey, now we're seeing uh, what we thought were otherwise, super stable jobs. Once the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
hit, it's like, oh
Right.
man, turns
Right.
out that there are real life benefits to kind of being a little more enterprising, being a little more creative. So I did want to ask you, Matt, what what would you say to that, and especially for this newer generation of people who are about to enter your field, what would you advise for them, how to take
Our
advantage of
fellow
this?
kids, diba? Advice for our fellow
Hello,
kids.
fellow kids. Yeah.
We are part of the youth still, categorically,
Yeah.
right?
Millennial.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, good. I think we did touch on it a little bit a while ago, right? But well, first of all, is I think that you just have to uh, be bold and take risks. Uh, expect to make mistakes, right? I think that a lot of us are trained or conditioned. Nah, oh no, you can't make mistakes. But sometimes really that's really where you have to. That's really where the learning comes from. That's really where the growth comes from.
Hmm.
I've had to learn that my own way as well. Um, and then at the same time, uh, yeah, know your worth, right? You might be doing this as a side hustle right now. You might be doing this uh, and it might stay that way, right? Or you might uh, eventually put up your own business for it, right? But uh, regardless of which path that you do decide to take, you will want to increase your rates and your earnings from this as you go
Hmm.
along, right? Yes, you're putting in the hustle, you're accepting every job early on, but um, I think if you start to compromise your, let's say, your values and yourself, or maybe you lose your reason why you're doing things, right? And you become a yes person. Uh, I think in the end it'll be to your detriment rather than to your benefit, right? So I think having that clear head and that clear vision, um, and yeah, sticking to your values, it's so important in the long run.
Nice.
Nice. So Matt, we normally when we wrap the show, we go into forecasting. So we want to ask you, like, how do you see the future of photography and like creative work in general in the Philippines in the coming maybe months, years? How do you see this further transforming?
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of innovations were brought about by the pandemic, right? Out of necessity, right? So, for example, things like being able to uh, do remote shoots where clients aren't able to come in, and that might open up opportunities like, let's say, um, opening up our services regionally or internationally, right? Um, and definitely those innovations are going to be here to stay afterwards because they do improve, the experience and the workflow. Um, I do also think that those who invest in themselves, meaning maybe even though you're not making the most these days, you're improving your equipment, you're honing your craft, you're investing in the infrastructure and in the systems. Um, those are the people who clients will remember past the pandemic and will want to work with because yeah, the work didn't get compromised regardless of everything that's happening. Um, and maybe lastly is I think people are moving towards more full service productions. So in a way, we have been like double manning in productions we're in. We might be the photographers, but sometimes we also bring props along, right? And or people have also been looking for somebody who can do both photo and video to
Mm.
yeah
Yep,
to
that's the
take care of
thing.
them, right? Because yeah, they want it to be very integrated and stuff. So yeah, then we look for partnerships, right? So if, for example, we're not capable of doing that,
Mhm.
we can bring in somebody who we trust, who we have a good working relationship with, so that we can be competitive to people and be attractive to the clients.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
need
a good point.
tasters ba? Do you need tasting partners?
Do
Kasi
Tasting all the
tasters?
sometimes,
time,
yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time.
What?
So we're actually, there's so much food all the time in shoots, and we we really want to advocate for to reduce food wastage, right? Like food security is such a big thing these days. uh yeah, once the pandemic's over, I'll invite you guys over for some food tasting.
Okay, we wouldn't want
We're gonna,
those. We
yeah, we're
wouldn't
gonna
want
quit this
those
ano na.
steaks to go to waste. So.
Exactly.
No, no, but I love it. Excellent, excellent wisdom all around, Matt. Did we did want to ask you personally, what's next for you? What's over the horizon in your future, and especially for Cereal?
Well, like I mentioned a while ago, thinking ahead, we wanted to invest more in how the experience could be better. So after much internal debate, we're deciding to construct uh, a pretty
Hmm.
cool space on a roof deck. So
Mm.
where we're gonna be able to shoot like content in we call it, the lanai area.
Okay.
Um, so because people are always looking for like smaller spaces now where they can produce their content safely, right? And like more I guess novel places as well. So yeah, that's quite exciting for us to be working on. And at the same time, I think it's really just a matter of um, not really like very like big eventful things, but just continuously uh, having that groundedness that we got from the pandemic and the clarity,
Hmm.
and just making sure to have that humility to keep improving on the craft.
Nice, nice.
It's nice to know that you're constructing the set of the Book of Boba Fett right now. So
I'm not
Tristan,
gonna. That's not a fact.
what
That's
did
not a
we say
fact.
You're not
about
gonna-
fake news? Hey,
I
you see,
learned from the
we're
first
testing Matt.
time. You're
Matt,
testing me.
welcome, welcome
Di kasi
to
diba, it's
our
like
fact checking webinar. Okay, wait, no,
I'm,
that's
I'm gonna digress a bit. Di ba kasi, the sets right now, it's just a flat stage and they just like have
A
LED screens all
green
around.
screen.
So hindi siya green screen yet.
Yeah,
It's like ano lang siya. It's projected screens. There's no actual set. It's just all CGI made via
yeah.
game
Blue
engines.
screen,
Anyway,
green
I
screen.
digress.
like Squid
Yeah.
Game. Squid Game does that as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yan. Sige. So I digress. So Matt, just to wrap things up in this interview portion, I mean you've shared a lot of wisdom, like it's a whole bevy of wisdom when it comes to a pandemic, to pivoting, to creativity, etc. So I just want to give you the opportunity to like share any last bits of advice, wisdom to all the young creatives out there watching.
Hindi pa ba enough yung mga nasabi ko? Kulang pa?
Yeah, any last bits para ano lang, if you missed
um,
anything.
I think the biggest thing talaga that I learned, especially in the past few months, is just uh, work with other people in mind. Be others oriented, and just like live with empathy, like how you was saying. And it might sound counterintuitive that then you're not benefiting yourself, but you really see that it comes back tenfold.
Hmm. Love that. Wow. I'm gonna cut it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's perfect note. I'm gonna cut it right there. Okay, that's it. We're done. We're done because
Insta
that's
quote.
that was such a good message. I love it. No, but thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you.
We're not gonna wrap things up yet. We're
Oh, awesome.
gonna move into our regular closing segment, which is our play of the week. We talked a
Play of
lot
the
about
week.
work. Now it's time to talk about play. A little bit, Tristan, that was a second delay. We're getting better.
Sorry.
I think we're getting better on our
We're practicing.
this
We're
Your
time.
practicing this
segues.
We're
para sound effect.
practicing our okay. Okay, take two. No, no, no. I'm just gonna continue. Anyway, Matt, any fun activities or recommendations for our listeners to unwind from the busyness of business? What you got,
I
Matt?
started I started consuming a lot of content that's, I guess you would call non-mainstream, because we're used to like,
Hipster?
especially very like, not necessarily hipster, but I guess we're very used to like Western content, like American shows and stuff, right?
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
so even with music that's being produced, aside from like K-pop that's out there, just looking for like Asian artists, for example, is one, or like LGBT
Yep.
artists, and or narratives, right? When it comes to like shows, like
Give us an example. Go.
there's this one show. It's produced in Japan, and it's very like
Ooh.
Japanese culture. It's called "What Did You Eat Yesterday," and it's
Ah,
about
Netflix.
these.
Yeah, I see that.
Right,
It's on
yeah.
Netflix, diba? I see that. Yeah.
It's so
Oh, I'm gonna
interesting
check that
because
out.
Japan, it's quite like a homophobic culture, but it's about these
Okay.
two guys who live together. They're boyfriends, and it's just like very like slice of life. Nothing. It's not like that sexual part of parang, or parang
Hmm.
that whole parang
It's not like
STDs kind of narratives,
eroticizing.
right? It's
Yeah.
just very like normal relationship stuff. And then, syempre, Japan, so parang a lot of like beauty shots of mga food nila, and like very detailed descriptions of what they're eating.
Ooh.
So it's so refreshing to see stuff like that.
What did you eat yesterday?
Yeah.
That's what it's called?
What did you eat yesterday?
Okay, I'm gonna check that
Yeah.
out.
Speaking of Japan, like it reminds me, diba? Kasi I just wanna add to that, like yung nga, like how refreshing it is to see things made from an Eastern lens. Kasi diba even Terry's House before it got cancelled
Terrace
for the
House.
controversy, it
Yeah.
was like revolutionary in a way. Kasi it's like a reality show pero walang nagaganap.
It's
You're just
not
living in the house.
not like
Walang
it's not like
competition.
PBB,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
this
It's
Yeah.
is
there's a
like
different point
the
of view
real world.
talaga, right?
Yeah.
That could also
That's
be interesting and relevant to us. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So do I go next?
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ako naman, like I'm actually hyped right now to get home. No, I'm not nothing against the show, pero like kasi like I ordered books over the weekend. So I saw this IG shop. It's called Bookstore in the Rai. So they sell like hard to
Ooh.
find books. So it's like a dibbing system. Pawi knows that we partake in this like dib system sa mga food,
Yep, yep.
etc. So
Yeah.
this
Love
one is
it.
a book. So they have book drops, and then they sell books that are quite hard to find. Na in the past, I had to order this book rin from
Wow.
one of our big book chains. It took me like 6 to 8 months. So dito, I get to
Wow.
see it. So like I put my dibs on 4 books, and then miraculously I got all of them. So
Ooh.
I
What?
got yeah. So I got.
Well,
I'm just
not after
gonna
you
run through them
endorse
very
this.
fast.
Go, please, please.
So I got
This is pretty cool.
I Like to Watch. It's by Emily Nussbaum. So she's a Pulitzer Prize winning TV critic for the NY or I don't wanna be fact checked. So basta
Okay,
she's a
okay.
Pulitzer
Sure.
winning film critic. Not film critic, TV critic. And then I also got a book by Carmen Maria Machado. So I talked about her in the
Mm.
past with her body and other parties. So I got her memoir, and then I also got like this book of essays called Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong.
Mhm.
So I'm interested in that. And the last book I got na I feel like baka maging relatable for me. It's called Uncanny Valley by Anna
Oh.
Weiner. So it's basically about this former publishing um I don't know what her role was in publishing, but she used to be in publishing, and then she moved to Silicon Valley to work in tech
Mm.
startups. So I think right now where we find ourselves in the crossroads of media and tech, that's something that I wanna get into. And so these are mostly
Cool.
nonfiction books. So I'm just gonna binge
You
read
got the rest
this
of
if I
your
have the time.
2021 reading cut out for you,
Yeah.
dude. I'm looking at the page right now, and it's cool. It looks like they do have some of them they have multiple stocks of, right? So that's
Yeah.
encouraging. So awesome. We'll check that out. Okay, mine is related to kind of what both of yours said. I'm gonna recommend a specific audio book. It was called Caffeine by Michael
Mm.
Pollan. It's an Audible original, so people who follow the show know that I like my audiobooks as well as my books. I
Same.
use Audible. I've read a couple of Michael Pollan books. So if you're familiar with the author, he also did How to Change Your Mind, The Omnivore's Dilemma. And so caffeine was a nice chaser, if you will, because it's actually only a 2 hour Audible exclusive. So it's basically like a podcast. And as with any of Michael Pollan's books, he takes a specific topic, so something maybe that we take for granted culturally, such as caffeine or just like the kinds of food we eat, and then he goes historical, cultural, biochemical,
Cool.
psychological, and all of it. It's kind of like,
Oh.
you know what it is? It's kind of like explained, like
Oh
I
yeah.
do I do like watching boxes
Right.
explained, but like
Yeah.
this one's like book form where they just like they go into it from all angles, so you get a full appreciation. So yeah, caffeine. I'll just share a quick learning from that one. One of my main takeaways from caffeine is in Michael Pollan's books, he talks about a thing called spotlight consciousness versus lantern consciousness. I'll be really quick about this. Spotlight consciousness is like adults. We're like specialists.
Mm.
We kind of focus. We have like a
Mhm.
rigid view on things, narrow view. As kids, we have lantern consciousness, or babies, where we just take in basically 180 degrees of information and we're just curious. Now, coffee enhances spotlight consciousness, which is why coffee is tied to productivity. If you have a specific task that you just have to do that task, that's the benefit of caffeine. So yeah, caffeine
Oh, that's
only
cool.
2 hours of your time if you're on Audible.
Nice.
I learned something new
Okay,
today.
there you go. That's a fun fact. Tristan, that's a new segment. Fun fact. Write that down. That's a fact. Oh,
Sige,
we have to
di pa
fact
di
check.
ako prepared eh, so I have to
Ayan, ayan.
next week
Okay,
I'll share a
next
fun
week
fact.
na. That's our. But anyway, that's our time, everyone. Thanks so much, Matt, for a wonderful
Thank you
interview.
guys. It was really fun. I had a good chat with you guys.
Yeah. And how can other people keep up with you and Cereal?
All right. So mostly active on Instagram. My personal page is Where is Matt Lee, and Cereal is Cereal Studio. That's with two A's. And we also have a website, so cereal.com. So you can check us out there.
And
Fantastic.
I'd assume na maganda feed mo, Matt, no? Curated feed
I actually
content.
tried doing that thing, but I realized since I do it for work already, na parang I'll just post whatever I want. I just want to have fun with it and just yeah, like not be so stiff about everything. Just to express myself, which is what social media was for anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amen to that.
Nice.
So again, thanks, Matt, and thanks everyone out there for listening. Want to also give a shout out to Rappler's production team. Thank you, Jaira and Naoki, and our community team, Ivy and Fia. Oh, as well as our creatives team. If you haven't already, please follow Rappler on all platforms. You can catch us on Kumu by following Rappler.com. And you can follow the Hustle Inside the Industry podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We bring you a new episode every Monday so you can start your week with a little motivation. That's it. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Thanks, Matt.